Hello, my beautiful Divine Feminine Collective. I know we all carry the Divine Masculine and Feminine within us. We tend to lean more towards one or the other. However, in this video, I'm going to go ahead and share with you 3 things that men need to feel in order to feel like they're loved by you. And part of this is understanding that the masculine wants to penetrate and provide. And by penetrate, I mean penetrate through the clutter and laser focus. A lot of masculine men tend to be workaholics or work too much, or they're laser focused on financial gain, right? And they lose touch with themselves to nourish those around them and spend that time and quality until eventually they start shifting to being a depolarized version, right, towards the divine feminine, which wants to be loving and open to all and wants to nourish and cultivate and foster deep and meaningful connections with others and just nourish, right? So a lot of the times the divine feminine lacks that laser focus and constant, I want to say almost aggressive, right? That aggressiveness and drive. Because it's just so free-flowing and in freedom, which is great and wonderful. However, we want to look at the depolarization, where we get towards closer to the middle from the divine masculine and the divine feminine. Because in that is where a lot of your true power lies. Because when you start leaning one way towards the other too far, it becomes toxic. Because you lose touch with your divine masculine side or your divine feminine side. Which is why maybe you're attracting a lot of toxic masculine men. And guess what? It's not really exactly 100% their fault. It's the cultural, societal, hypnotic mechanism that's been put in place. And this goes for both and toxic feminine. There's toxic divine feminines also out there. Except this mechanism has taught people how to be broke, not just financially, but also in their emotions, their feelings, not knowing how to process things, sick. They don't get to learn how to heal, and they're misinformed of the information of what it takes to become unbroken, to heal, right? So again, back to the 3 things that are going to help men understand that you love them. Okay, number 1 is, this one's sensitive subject. However, divine feminine, I want you to empower yourself. Okay, by stepping into your self-expression and empowering yourself towards sexuality. Sexual expression is huge. Okay, and I know for a lot of females, there's a lot of stigma or slut shaming around you enjoying your sexuality. Slut shaming is just for insecure men. There's no slut shaming when you're expressing the things that you want. When you're vulnerable to yourself and you're in alignment with who you are, you're expressing your power. So it's all good. And for those of you who've broken through past that, wonderful, right? But ladies, I know y'all get freaky too. So it's okay to start being able to communicate sexual needs and desires, because men, and I've been there, and I still am a man, I just happen to be more depolarized. I happen to be a little more divine feminine than masculine. But anyway, enough about me. And let me know if you've been there. If you've suppressed yourself from enjoying and sexually expressing who you are. Because guess what? Men get tired of initiating. Yeah, I happen to be one. And it gets boring. Because I've dated very wonderful, submissive women. And I've also dated the other side of the spectrum, where very intimate, sexually aggressive women, right? And it gets boring having to initiate all the time, because we start to feel like we're not wanted or desired. So it's okay to go to your guy, kiss him a little, touch him, and initiate, because we like that too. We like the same stuff you like. Remember, it's just the balance and how far away are we further apart. And I've also had this wonderful girlfriend back in the past. I was like 22. We're like two peas in a pod energetically, right? And she was very sexually aggressive. And she loved it, and some attachment to it, payout she was getting, fulfilling needs of the past from wounds from it. And she wanted it constantly, which was wonderful. We had a great time. However, she was going off to college, and I told her the last day I was going to see her, because she was like 2-3 hours away drive. And I was like, hey, it's our last night to spend together. Like, I don't want to have sex with you. And I told her this like beginning of the day. I want to be intimate and cuddle and just hang out. And thinking also, like, if it leads to that, it will. My main focus is being intimate with you. Right? And then when I got over to her place, I lay down on her bed thinking like we're going to cuddle and just enjoy each other's presence. Maybe it leads to it. I don't know. However, she went to the bathroom with a silky robe, came out, and like opens it up. She's wearing this like beautiful, warm, orangey yellow lingerie. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is so great, right? And then I'm just like, this is specifically what I expressed as she starts, throwing herself on me and kissing me. I'm like, I told, hey, I love this. I told you earlier, like, this is not what I wanted. Right? And like, I tried to comfort her, and she started crying because like she wasn't getting her needs met. And all of a sudden I felt like I was the guilty one. It's like, well, I had to stay strong because like I specifically said, like, I want, something intimate, not just jumping straight into this. And I get it. It's our last night. Anyway, I was pushed off by that. So there is a level, ladies. You can't be too aggressive and you can't be too submissive. Well, I mean, you can do whatever you want. I'm just letting you know, if you want a man, they want to know that they're wanted and needed, and that you want this beautiful, cosmic, energetic expression of physical connection together. Okay? Because that's why they end up cheating or going towards something new that excites them. Because if they're putting in all this work and effort and constantly initiating, they'll and if you start saying, they'll start to drift off. Okay. And if it comes down to they are initiating and you're denying them constantly, well, I mean, one, you got to look at like, hey, are you still in this relationship? Or is it time to like let it go? Right? And then it's quicker to let it go because like you want to be in this like beautiful relationship with one another. Number 2, understanding the type of man that you do want in your life. Right? And choosing specifically. And I call this one divine depolarization. It's you stepping into your power. Now that you can step into your power sexually and vulnerably express your needs and communicate what you like and what you don't like, you also got to understand, like, where do you stand on the scale? Because I had this one friend. Well, I do have this friend. He's like in his 40s, very financially successful, struggles with women, dates lots of hot women all the time, and I'm like, what's going on? Like, why are you dating so many women? Like they can't all be crazy, right? And like, he has his own toxic traits. And I asked him, like, hey, what are you looking for in a woman? And he goes, I've never been asked that before. I appreciate you asking. I think I want someone that is going to keep the house clean and cooks and just, stays home. And I'm like, thinking in my head, well, it's, it's like the 2000s now, we're in a different world. And I'm like, well, what do you think about a woman that runs a business or is empowered and focusing on her world? And he's like, well, a lot of those women, they tend to be really aggressive and focused, and they don't have any much time, and they're not, very feminine. So I'm like, well, that sounds a lot like the masculine, right? They're very in their masculine energy, just like masculine men are. It seems like anybody too far in their masculine energy is also in their toxic masculine energy. Right? So it's about finding the world, but it sounds like he's been wounded, and he has been, by women who are the only one way, but he doesn't know, and he hasn't seen a woman that's in her depolarized space where she can nourish and love and also be a provider if she wants to be. Okay, because again, it comes down to being able to mend and mesh well together. To know like that's the evolved versions of you both. And let me know, have you been in situations like this? Are you a feminine that's more in her masculine versus your natural divine feminine? What side of the spectrum are you on? Maybe it's time to start embracing and empowering yourself to be a divine feminine, and that's actually the empowerment, is that you can like sexually express yourself, that you can go out and provide. Like, that's the beauty of divine feminine empowerment, is realizing you're free to do whatever you want. There's no right or wrong way. Except if you want a healthy relationship with a man, you got to find yourself, what kind of man do you want? What kind of woman are they looking for? Are they in this part of the spectrum where it's balanced, or are they too far off and they're masculine? And, they're not really going to nourish and give you what you need also. So communication and emotional availability, all these great things come into play. Self-awareness. Are they willing to do the work? Are you willing to do the work? Because it's past just, posting on Instagram or Facebook, all these pretty pictures. Oh, we went out, or our relationship is so good. Look at this and that. But it's like most of those relationships aren't doing so well behind the scenes. So you gotta ask yourself, where do you want to be? Number 3, everyone gets to chip in. And what I mean by this is there's a huge stigma around like financial support. And what I've come to realize is financial support, whichever side you're on, so being able to accept that abundance of being taken care of financially is huge. Now, if you're giving financial abundance and you're financially taking care of someone, it's important to know that you don't hold any power over them. You can't do it thinking that this will fulfill you or they're going to stay, or you can control someone by doing so, because that's toxic. That's something you do out of kindness and unconditional love, regardless of what they end up doing with it or not. And that's a tough pill to swallow, because a lot of people think if you give or you give gifts that they're going to like you, or you're going to have control over them, which is manipulation. But it's like, if you love someone, you're doing it because you want to see them better themselves. So if you're giving to someone that's not highly motivated, and let me know, has this happened to you? How many of you have been in this situation where you're giving and they're not highly motivated? They're not busting their butt to see what they can create, or they're doing inner work, or they're expanding so they can become financially stable. So number 1 is, again, being able to accept the abundance. And there should not be an attachment to that. Like, I need to feel like I need to do something for you in return. No. And you know what? I found myself in a relationship like that with a narcissistic girlfriend who was also physically abusive. Back during that, 2020 time when things got real weird. And, I was at home a lot. She worked, and I was financially dependent on her, about 75% for a little bit. And then after things started kind of rolling in, I was able to pay more in rent. I was able to chip in more. But the whole time I cooked, I cleaned, I started 2 different businesses for us. I was highly motivated, learning how to edit, create clothing. This person told me they wanted to be a fashion designer. They went to fashion design school and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, great, I found a way we can do print on demand. We can start this clothing company. Like, here, I even set up a computer for her so she can design clothes when she's off of work and have fun. This person also told me she wanted to be a psychologist, and never took any action towards any of the things. And as I cooked breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and packed her lunches for work, and cleaned the house and everything, house husband, I was constantly told it's not enough. I was getting love bombed when I started to pull away and started to realize, like, hey, like, I actually don't feel like this is working for me. oh, you're the best boyfriend ever, blah, 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 all this toxic shit. And I'm just saying, like, I guess I'm saying this mainly because there is a spectrum of financial, like, thing, but it's like, this person gave me financial, like, support as a way to control me. So, and she was very much so in her masculine energy. Okay? And part of that is understanding if somebody's doing that, or you're after somebody who has this financial abundance and that's all you're looking for, someone to take care of you, then guess what, Buttercup? You're limiting yourself to believing that this is the only way you'll ever be financially abundant, is by somebody else providing for you. How is that empowering to your divine feminine at all? That's toxic. That's believing that because you're this beautiful, elegant, wonderful flower that's willing to be open and submissive, that you're just going to have everything handed to you. Which is great if that does happen. I'm not shaming that at all. I think that's wonderful if you have that a wonderful abundance. But if you believe that's the only way you're going to be able to provide abundance for you, is by taking it from someone else, and that you can't be able to provide it for yourself, that's so disempowering. And that goes for men too. It was disempowering for me. No matter how much I gave, do you know how much it costs to have a personal chef or a personal maid? Yeah, I was working more than anything she ever gave me. That was the reality to it. And I started to believe that I'm not worthy. I started, it was toxic AF. So I'm saying, watch out what kind of men you're dating, and watch out the attachment you have towards it, and where you're placing yourself. Are you even if you are a masculine woman, and let's say you do have, you make a lot of money, and the male that you're with doesn't, but they're wonderful and they're great, right? And all the boxes are checked, besides they don't make good money. Let's just put that in perspective. And there's always a stigma around money, but we got to put this into perspective, because this is the reality. Like, relationships are to nurture and help each other grow. And think about, even if you're nourishing or providing for a male who can't, you want to buy a house, and you think that the only way you're going to buy a house is with a male that can provide the same amount of financial abundance as you, and you're going to let go of this wonderful, magnificent being because you're limiting yourself to believing that the only way you can buy this property is by having him chip in the same amount as you. Like, I get it. There should be whatever. But the point is like, you still believe that you need someone else to do the thing for you or with you. That's disempowering. Empowerment is saying, I can do this anyway, and I don't need to be codependent, and I can do this for us. And nourish and maybe provide this person home. But again, you also got to find out, like, are these people highly motivated? Are they taking more than giving? Like, it all comes down to, what kind of man do you want? And how much are you actually giving them to feel loved? Or are you enabling them to be comfortable and do nothing and sit on the couch? Like, again, I had an abundance. I felt wrong for it. I felt like I needed to constantly do more than I needed to. I never felt like it was enough either. It wasn't enough for her. Although, from everything I've heard, I was the best boyfriend ever. But there was times where it's like, I suck, right? So, awakening to toxicity and all these things, like, are very important. All right. I hope this helps you on your journey. This is my first video like this that I've made, and I want to start stepping into being a divine feminine awakening and empowerment coach. So I'm declaring it right now that this is the journey I'm taking, coach and speaker. And I want to help you beautiful divine feminines empower yourselves to the best version of you, because I want you to move from that fear of stigma or societal hypnotic mechanisms of you can't be yourself, to the freedom of being you and being able to express yourself fully, and while in the meantime being able to cultivate deep and meaningful relationships where you can communicate things with one another. And I want you to be so not only completely in love with your life, I want you to be in love with yourself and to know what you deserve. And through that, being able to follow what excites you the most in your life and your passions. And if you want to go and create a business or whatever you want, I want you to be able to do it and know that you have a loving, supportive partner who's going to support you in whatever endeavor you choose to go towards. Okay? So let me know in the comments below if this helps you. If there's anything else you want to hear more about, I will be refining my videos as this is my first step towards this. I'm being a little vulnerable here, you know. So dude, I was so nervous about making this video to begin with. And I was not able to fully cover it the way anyway. I'm going to keep walking this path. Much love, Cosmic Soul. Have a wonderful, magnificent, transformative, alchemizing day. Love and light vibration out. Bye.